What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Lumsden Motorsports Garage. I'm Wade Lumsden. Still under quarantine, but trying to get some stuff done on the truck. And I kind of got a little bit ahead of myself. And I'd like to show you what I've done. Okay, so when I last left you, we had done the shackle flip on the leaf springs in the back, and then kind of offline I was messing around a little bit with the front suspension, and that is a different spring. That spring's actually supposed to be a 2-inch spring, 2-inch lift. And I set the springs next to each other. They have the same, because I finally got the stock spring out, that one right there. That one is 2 inches longer, but the coil itself is thicker, and it has the same coil wind. So just having a thicker gauge to it is going to make it a stiffer spring as well. Something I'm going to try to stay away from, actually, because I don't want the springs up front to be any stiffer than they are. I do want that lift, but I think I don't know. I'm coming up with a plan inside my head. I'll let you guys know what I decide to do, but yeah, that's what that is. And I wanted to see what the full travel and all that stuff was of the front suspension, but when we really dig into the front suspension, I'll go over all that. Other thing I started doing was I started digging into the electrical. You can see the gauge clusters out, and was trying to find, what still needed to be hooked up to make what work for my gauges, and because there was a switch by the AC control and heater control that switched it from front tank to rear tank, so I know if the fuel tank is full or not. So I'm gonna have to hot wire that, make that work. So I was looking at that stuff and trying to see what wires turned on what lights and all that happy stuff, because I'd like to know. I'm gonna try to wire some lights and stuff in, dome lights, some stuff like that. But definitely the backlighting to the gauges would be good to have, and I gotta find the wires that feed that. So that was kind of what I was doing, messing around with that. And then the other thing I did is, you might notice over here there's some pipe sticking out. This, granted, is definitely not a finished product. It's just some mock-up stuff. But I drilled some holes in the firewall, which was super fun, because as you can tell, there's a hole here, and then there's a hole back there, and same thing, there's a hole there and a hole there. I got the one set of holes drilled on this side. You can see through. I've yet to drill this one. But basically, I wanted to make sure that the holes were at a height where they would contact with the roll bar, kind of like that sits. You can't see it. Hold on, let me go over to that side, where that bar makes contact with the bar below it. It's kind of sitting lower than it right now, but it lifts up to meet that part of my cage directly. And then I'm gonna have another bar that comes through that hole and meets up in the corner on both sides. I have this piece of pipe just kind of sitting in here. It's one that had my test 90 whatever, and then I put this piece of PVC pipe on here just to extend and use as a mock-up, but I was kind of getting an idea kind of how I want this bar to meet up with that other one and still go around my brake booster and master cylinder. So that is kind of a fun little mock-up thing that I've been messing around with. Going to continue to mess around with it, especially until once I'm out of quarantine. Then I can go get some pipe and actually start cutting and fitting stuff together. I have not decided yet. The bars that come out in the center here, have not decided whether I want them to come out and then go down and connect to the frame, or I have that piece of crossbar that we added behind the bumper, and have it come down and connect to that, or go connect towards the center, or what I'm doing there yet. So I also have some interesting thoughts for what I'm going to do with the front suspension, so that will probably determine what I do with these bars as well. I don't know, we'll see. It's a lot of we'll see. Haven't 100% made up my mind, but you know, it's budget and timing and all that stuff. Other thing you'll notice here is there used to be a chrome ring that went all the way around the window. Yes, this means I will be taking the window out. The original plan was to leave a window in it. I took the windows out of the doors as well, but the original plan was to leave the windshield in it, just because I wanted to, but ran into an issue when I installed this bar, or where this bar needs to be installed. The windshield wiper motor sat here, and then the arm came across here, right? And when you turn the wiper motor on, the roll bar, or that front hoop bar, was right in the way of the windshield wiper. And me thinking to myself, hey, this is a Tuff Truck, and Tuff Trucks go through mud. If I got a windshield full of mud and didn't have any wipers, I'd be sucking buttermilk. So decided that we're just going to take the windshield out. Went ahead and took the wiper motor and all that stuff out, which would be good. It can be that those parts were still good parts, so they can go to our spare parts pile for the tow truck at Rattlesnake Raceway. So yeah, so we'll be taking the windshield out and putting some type of bar or some type of windscreen up in some way, shape, form, fashion, but that's for later. Anyways, got the hoop and all that happy jazz kind of laid out. I still, like I said, I still got to drill that one hole and kind of decide what I'm doing with the suspension. But I wanted to share where we were at and kind of what I was doing off camera with you guys for that. And then one of the next pieces is going to be moving all the wiring and stuff that's connected to the inner fender into the cab somewhere, because I'd like to kind of keep, there's no wheel well or anything like that anymore to keep mud and water and all that stuff off of that. So I'd kind of like to move it into the cab. The other thing that you might have noticed is the hood is here. In trying to take off that trim piece right there, which is where the you know, the wiper blades and stuff go through and connect. It connects right here underneath the windshield, right? That's that goes across there. I was having to take that off so I could finish drilling these holes, and to finish getting that off, it was easier to do it by taking the hood off. Well, and then I took the hood off, and that thing is heavy, and I'm actually really curious as to how heavy it is. So curious, in fact, actually, I think I'm going to pull a scale out right now and measure that. Okay, tried to time lapse that. Don't know if that came out too well because there was only like a couple seconds. Anyways, took one of my car scales, set it up here, weighed myself on it, and then I picked up the hood because I didn't want to set the hood directly down on that scale. I held up the hood and reweighed it, and it is 64 pounds. Yeah. So just that hood by itself is 64 pounds, and you know, I keep talking about wanting to lighten up the front, right? Because we're trying to get as much of as close to 50-50. If not, I think I actually want a little bit more rear weight than I want front weight. But you know, that's a lot of weight, 60 pounds. If I were to just completely nix the hood, that'd be a lot of weight savings. But I think what I'm going to do instead is gut the hood. So we'll see. It might be a little bit more than half of that. Maybe 40 pounds of that will drop off. Plus the windshield. You know, windshields are super heavy. They're probably, depending on your windshield, they're probably anywhere from 15 to 30 pounds. You know, I'm going to assume mine's about 20-ish, about 20 pounds would be my guess. And then I have a whole bunch of this stuff, inner fender well too. That's all added weight that I don't necessarily need, that I can cut off now that I don't have lots of traffic going by right now. But that's a lot of weight that I can cut out now that I don't have, you know, the need for stuff to be mounted to it, right? So, kind of working on gutting some stuff out and all of that happy stuff. One of the other big things is, and I don't know what I want to do about it for this next race. Right now I have a front mount radiator, right? Radiator hose, and it's one of those nice big copper radiators. That thing's pretty heavy by itself, so I have a couple options. I can mount another front mount radiator and just mount that thing in here somehow and call it good, or I can go get an aluminum radiator, which will be lighter, and mount that up front here, but that's still up front. Or I can try to figure out how I want to try to do a rear mount radiator. There's a handful of concerns with doing a rear mount radiator. One is the you know, the plumbing, and getting it back there. Two is the water pump enough? You know, it's just a stock water pump, so is that stock water pump enough to pump and move the fluid that I need moved, right? So make sure that it'll keep up. And then the other bit is, once I do get it, you know, mounted up here, it's got to have enough airflow. So then I'd have to hook up an electric fan to make sure that it's getting airflow through it. And I'm also kind of one of those guys that likes the idea of having the driver protected from hot radiator coolant spraying on them. You know, I'm not a fan of being sprayed with, you know, scalding hot things. So I'd want to protect myself from it. But I also, you know, we talked about in past videos, we talked about the possibility of the back of my head getting hit by rocks, because there is no real shield from the mud. And you can see that the back here was getting pegged with mud and all that other happy stuff. So we are talking about a tough truck course, so that means rocks and things like that. So the radiator would also have to be protected from rocks and things getting kicked up of that nature. So I don't know I don't know what can of worms I want to open up. It might just, you know, do a front mount radiator this time with all the other stuff that we're doing. I don't know, really. Part of it is a matter of seeing if I can find some stuff on the cheap to be able to, you know, maybe pull off doing that stuff. If not, maybe it, you know, we just go back to kind of the stock setup and we upgrade that later. Who knows? But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm sitting. I'm gonna get back to stripping some stuff out and seeing what I can do here. I might go ahead and gut out this hood so I can see just how much weight the inner part, and I'm talking about gutting it. I don't know, just in case you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you can see all this ribbing and stuff in here. So it's got the outer, that's the outer shell portion, and then all of this in here is ribbing. So if we cut out that ribbing, we could see the difference. I might go ahead and do that just so we can see what the difference is for this video, and go from there. Okay, I got it apart. As you can see, there was quite the little nest inside the hood. And then here, all I did was grab a hold of these portions and pull out what was being held in by this lip. I will see what else I can pull out to clean up, but I can already tell that's going to be much lighter. All of this is just the little foamy glue spots to help with well, noise dampening between this and that, but also kind of to glue it together, you know, keep those vibrations out. But those should be okay, those little spots there. I don't know, if I get a wild hair, I might take a, what is that thing, you know, scraper. There we go. I might take a scraper to them and get them scraped off, but it seems to be much lighter. Let's see if I can get it cleaned up any more than it is, with that stuff around the edges, and then we'll weigh it and see what kind of weight savings we have by just gutting the hood. Alrighty, verdict is in. Got it weighed without scraping. We might get a little bit more weight off with scraping those off, but not a whole lot. But got it weighed, and It is 28 pounds. So we went from 65 down to 28. That's pretty good, you know. Getting down, getting the front end weight down. So that makes me wonder how much weight we're going to be able to strip off this thing. Gutting out the inner fender wells here. But yeah, now I'm gonna get this hole drilled, since I ran out of light when I was working on this, and that's why that hole is not drilled. But I'm gonna get the hole drilled right here, for this bar that's gonna come out, and probably gonna call it for the day. Yeah. Well, all right, guys, that's going to be it for this video. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Questions, comments, concerns down below. Hit up the Lumsden Motorsports Facebook page, especially if you want a Lumsden Motorsports t-shirt. The Win the Show, Be the Show. Send me a message on Facebook. Yeah, thanks for watching. Again, like, subscribe, that really helps the channel out. I really appreciate it, especially if you really like what we're doing here. So still, stuff is going to be going slow due to quarantine. But you know, I'm going to keep picking away here. Can't really hit it hard until I get some pipe, and I can't get some pipe until I can go pick it up. So we'll keep plugging away at some of the small stuff, and hopefully one of these days soon I'll be able to get my race car here, which is still stuck out at my dad's house. So I can't work on the modified unless it's here as well. So just gonna keep plugging away. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.